Bienvenidos mis queridos rebeldes a un nuevo episodio de Vivir en Modo Fuego. El día de hoy tenemos un invitado de lujo, pero antes te tengo una advertencia, porque mi invitado no habla español y yo no soy tan bueno con el inglés, así que te voy a pedir que seas generoso conmigo, que me perdones la pronunciación si me equivoco en algunas palabras. Hace más de 30 años que no hablo en inglés, lo entiendo perfecto, pero no lo hablo tan bien, así que pedir que seas generoso conmigo con el tema del idioma. Ok, haré mi mejor esfuerzo. El día de hoy vamos a tener un invitado de lujo, nada más y nada menos, Darren Weeks. Él es un empresario, es autor del libro El Arte de Recaudar Capital. Es estudiante de Robert Kiyosaki, pero también ha sido su asesor en el tema del levantamiento de capital. Del 2008 a la fecha ha comprado más de 5,000 propiedades. Imagínate, 5,000 propiedades. Acaba de hacerse socio de una financiera, una fintech aquí en México que está regulada por la Comisión Nacional Bancaria y de Valores, que se llama PM2, ya vamos a hablar de ello, y tiene ya muchos años viviendo en México dedicado a impulsar la educación financiera y a ofrecer propuestas rentables de inversión a las personas que nos gusta invertir para multiplicar nuestro patrimonio. Con ustedes, mis queridos rebeldes, nada más y nada menos que Darren Weeks.
Wow, amazing energy. Miguel, it's always good to see you, and I need that energy. Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you here in Vivir en Modo Fuego.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. And sorry about my English. The first thing I want to say, I'm not very good with English, so sorry because of my mistakes.
Well, it's better than my Spanish, so thank you to the audience for being patient as well. And I'm sure whatever language you're reading or listening to it in, I hope to have you learn something.
Thank you for being here. So, let me start with the questions. Who is Darren Weeks?
A happy entrepreneur that is very happy that he moved to Mexico 6 years ago. Somebody who always liked business and money as a young kid, and just always followed that path, really.
Where are you from?
Born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Mm-hmm. Canada?
So Canadian. And
that's why you are so friendly?
I hope so. Yeah,
All Canadian people is friendly.
Yeah, in Cabo, everybody thinks I'm a gringo, but we're different. We're Canadians, but got a lot of American friends. But yeah, from Canada, and again, I did move to Mexico 6 years ago because almost every Canadian gets tired of the weather and wants to retire when they're in their 50s and go somewhere warmer. So I'm very happy I did that.
So you have been here at Mexico for 6 years.
Almost 6 years. Yeah, a couple more months. It'll be 6th anniversary.
Here?
Well, it's funny because Robert Kiyosaki asked me to teach a program called Global Entrepreneurs Organization, GEO. And the first city we launched in was Mexico City. So then we started to have a community in Hermosillo, Monterrey, Mexico City. And I also did it in Sweden and Germany and Poland. But when I started coming here for business, I met so many nice people. Now, as a Canadian, almost everyone that I know would come to Mexico in the winter.
Okay.
But you'd go to the beach towns. Uh-huh. But to go to Hermosillo and Monterrey, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and see the people, the culture, the food, I just really fell in love with it. And of course, the weather, Okay. So my decision was, Miguel, am I going to move to Puebla? Uh-huh. Because I did a really big event there with Kiyosaki in 2017. And I loved the city. I thought it was really nice. And then my friend said to me when I asked him where I should go for the winter, he goes, why don't you try Cabo? And he told me about it. He's a good friend of mine, business partner. So I went there for 2 months in 2017. And sorry, Puebla, but once I was in Cabo, it was a pretty easy decision to move there. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That was your first time at Cabo?
It was my first time. Yeah, so I'd been everywhere else. Cancun. Yeah, just so nice. And the good part, but the bad part is you don't need to speak Spanish there. Right? So I've been a little bit lazy.
That's why you have not learned Spanish.
Well, I really want to blame Yvonne. He's my tutor because he's a terrible teacher. But
There's Ivan.
no, I'm pretty lazy when it comes to the language.
Okay, so you're from Canada. Are you from a rich family?
No, my dad worked in the oil field, the oil business, and he didn't finish grade 10. Neither did my mom. So they were, blue collar. My mom took care of the 3 kids, and she got a job once we were kind of in grade 6 as a secretary. But no, they had not much money, but great parents, very supportive, good households, but no financial education, no entrepreneurship. They always told all the kids, you need to go to university if you want to be successful in life.
Okay.
So no, 0.
How many brothers and sisters? 3?
Older brother, Dennis, and he actually had a dive shop in Cancun for 10 years approximately, and he still has a house in the area. And my sister's younger and she's in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, they visit a lot. I have so much family at my house now because Cabo's so nice. It's like, I put a rule, okay, you can only come for 10 days at a time.
Your parents are right now at Cabo, right?
My mom just left a couple of days ago. My dad left a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to go to Cabo, to your house too.
Come visit.
I want to visit you too.
Come visit again. Well, you were in Cabo 5 years ago, approximately.
Yes.
With our event, yeah.
For an event. It was wonderful. We're like maybe 50 50 entrepreneurs that went there for a boot camp.
Yeah.
It was great.
The Shark Tank.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We had so much fun.
Yeah, it was good.
And we learned a lot. Yeah. It was awesome.
It was good.
It was great. So what did you dream you were going to become when you were a kid?
Just rich. I just wanted to be rich. It's a very vivid memory. I was helping my Uncle Dale move. I was 6. So when you move from one apartment to another and you're 6, you can't lift many things that are heavy, but I would take little boxes or whatever. And then he rewarded me with 3 quarters, very similar to a 10 peso coin.
How old were you?
6.
6.
So I went home that night and I put them on my bed. And one of the quarters was a very unique quarter. As a Canadian, you would understand it was a Mountie quarter. And at that moment, I said, I want to be rich. That was it. At that moment, in my mind, I determined I would be rich.
And when did you start making business?
Well, shortly after that, again, as a 6-year-old, you would, maybe receive some money for your birthday or, I used to deliver flyers. My friend's older brother had a paper route, so I would help out and get some money.
The Raton Perez take money to Canada? You know the Raton Perez?
No.
The tooth
the tooth fairy? Yeah, good point. The tooth fairy. Yeah. Back then it wasn't much, but that's true. Yeah, I got 25 cents for each tooth probably. So I remember I accumulated $500. My goal was to have a car. And then I don't know why, but somebody said something about the stock market. And there was a bank called the Royal Trust. And I put the $500 into mutual funds. I think it was in grade 6.
6, how old were you?
10, 11.
And then you were buying stocks?
Yeah, mutual funds. Yeah, it was those 2 funds. One was a Japanese fund, because back then Japan's economy was going crazy. And the other was energy, oil.
How did you learn to do that?
I don't remember how I understood mutual funds even existed, but I went in with, my mom, I think, took me and I talked to the advisor and I put the $500 into those 2 funds. And then really for me, and this is maybe something I wish everybody would take heart, is it became real. All of a sudden, investing became very real because that was my hard-earned money. But more importantly, every quarter I would get something mailed to my house, a statement. And I could see, the unit price, it was called, either went up or they went down, and the distributions. But what I also learned was the fees the banks charged. Okay. So for me, that was a really big lesson. And after about 2 years, I sold the mutual funds because I was losing money and I could see the banks were stealing my money legally, basically. And then, as then I'm older, so now I can start to shovel sidewalks for the older neighbors in the neighborhood because I'm Canadian. When it snows, they'll give you $1. Or I used to referee hockey. And then as I got older, just made more money in savings and continued to do really unique investments.
Okay. Yeah, what did you study?
Well, eventually I went to the University of Alberta into business. But I remember in high school, every day I'd go to the library. Again, I'm old now, but you would read the newspaper because we didn't get the newspaper at home. And I would look at the stocks that I owned, and the next morning they would be published in the business section. So I'd go to the library. It's the only time I went to the library was just to check my stocks that I owned. And the Mexico connection is interesting because I used to buy a lot of stocks that were on the Vancouver Stock Exchange, but they were Mexican companies, mainly silver mines. Yeah, silver mines.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had to go to grade 12 for 2 years because my marks weren't very good. And then I finally got into University of Alberta and got into business. And 5 years later, I got a degree.
You finished your university?
Why do you say that? Are you surprised?
Yes.
Yeah, I finished.
I'm surprised because I thought you didn't you didn't finish your college. That's what I thought.
No, I did.
So now,
but
that's what I'm surprised.
See, again, like even in high school, and then I went to university. I go to business school, and I received some of the worst marks in the history of the university. I almost got kicked out. I had to go to a special hearing a couple of times because I almost got kicked out. But when I was in business school, I assumed everybody wanted to invest in the stock market and own their own business. And during that time in university, I was really disappointed because I bought my first property as a student. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. I didn't have credit.
Okay. But
I bought my first property. And I remember specifically going to my accounting class and bringing the pro forma, the details of the property, and showing my friends. And they just really, it was almost like, okay, whatever. I'm not interested. So I'm thinking to myself, why are we in business school if nobody's interested in business?
In business.
They just want to get a job, right?
Yes.
So again, I was always taking action, always doing things to make money. One more story. When I was in university, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And that August, I just moved into my first property that I bought. And I put myself through school. My parents helped me the first year. But after that, I was on my own because my dad always looked at me and said, you always have money, do it yourself.
Okay.
So I own a house, condo, and I can receive $15,000 in student loan. And the interest rate is 0. So of course, I accept the money, but I didn't need the money. So when I noticed Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, I went back to the same bank where I bought my mutual funds when I was in grade 6. And the energy stocks, I bought the same fund. And again, I'm telling my friends at school or even just adults, and nobody understands why I did that. And I said, well, when Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait, oil price goes up, stocks should go up. So I made $15,000 in 3 months profit.
With the funds?
Right, with funds.
Okay.
And another lesson that I learned was my advisor, so-called advisor, when I went to buy the shares, she goes, you're the second person like this week that's doing this. Why? So I'm thinking to myself, you're an analyst, you're a financial advisor, and you don't know why?
Okay.
So I learned a lot of lessons when I was younger, just by taking action.
That's cool. I don't know where or why did I hear that you didn't finish college. So that's why I was surprised because I thought you quit the college. Yeah. I don't know why. I had that idea.
I mean, if I had to do it all over again, and I told this to a young girl when we were speaking in Morelos a couple weeks ago, because she goes, I don't want to go to university. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I said, well, then don't go to university. Or if I had to do it all over again, I would say maybe take 7 years to go to university in business and have a small business at the same time. Okay. And then learn what you're...
practice.
Yeah, and then have a business. And also, when you're young, you have an advantage. You have energy, youth, enthusiasm, and you also have a little bit of sympathy because other people are going to say, hey, I want to support this young kid.
Yeah, sure.
So if I had to do it again, I would maybe go back, but take my time and also have my business.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
So with the money that you earn with the mutual funds, you use that money to buy the house?
No, I bought the house first. So in June that year, I bought the condo.
How do you buy? How does a kid of, I don't know, maybe 20, 19 years old
21?
Buy a house?
Okay, so always interested in money. And I realized through a TV program, maybe when I was in grade 9, the rich people, and specifically Japanese people, because again, back then the Japanese economy was like, it was almost going to overtake the US economy. There was talk of that. It was a very, very strong economy. And this program basically summarized that rich people own businesses and real estate. Okay. So immediately, they own businesses and real estate. So I went to business school. Okay. Now I want to buy real estate. Why? Because I just got married. I was very young when I got married to my high school sweetheart. And I didn't want to rent. Because
How old were you when you got married?
21.
21.
2021. Yeah. I bought the condo in June and got married in August.
What is a condo?
It's like
Apartment?
It's an apartment, but you own it.
Okay.
So an apartment building in Canada, our terms is like, it might be 300 units. So I bought many of those, but the person doesn't own it. They're just renters.
Okay.
In our terminology, a condo, you own it.
Okay.
So you'd have a mortgage on it yourself.
Okay.
So when I was going to get married, obviously you have to move out. So I started to analyze how much rents are. And then I said, okay, what if you were to buy the exact same type of building? And there was only a $50 difference. So every time I would go to the bank to, inquire about student loans or just, whatever banking I had to do, I would purposely book an appointment to talk to a mortgage broker, like a specialist in properties. And I would just ask questions, and I would say, how can I own a property? And they would give me one answer. And then I went to a different bank or the same bank and asked somebody else the same questions, and I got different answers. So I asked 10 people over, 2 years, and I got 10 different answers.
Okay.
And I started to understand some of the subtleties of how the real estate market worked. And at the time, and this is very important, real estate doesn't always go up in value. And sometimes it goes down. Right? So let's say that you buy a property for $1 million pesos, keep it in pesos, and the market goes down, and now your property is only worth 800,000 pesos. Okay.
20% less.
Yeah. And the bank gave you a mortgage, for 900,000 pesos. So you've got a mortgage for 900,000. It's only worth 8.
You lost.
So a lot of people in these economies, you basically say to the bank, here's the keys, I don't want it.
Okay.
Because I can't sell it and make any money. So what I found out was by asking the questions of the bank, reading certain legal documents and going down this rabbit hole of how do I buy properties is if I can find somebody like Miguel who has a property, the value is lower than the mortgage, it's lower than the debt, I can take that property over for no money. I don't need to qualify. I just take over the keys, do a legal contract, and I own the property.
Okay.
Now, why would you own a property worth less than the debt? Well, because I think over time it's going to come back up.
It's going to come up, right? The price.
So basically I would buy properties for no money.
The first one?
Oh, many. 10, 12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay. Buying 12 houses or 10 condos or 10 properties is one thing. But buying 5,000 properties is another. How the hell can a single person buy 5,000 properties? That's crazy. How the hell did you do that?
Well, you start to get mentored by really smart people that have done it before, and that's, that transitions into reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So my early career was, 12 properties. I would kind of get one a year, and they weren't easy to find. They became more and more difficult to find. And then eventually they changed the rules so that you can't do that anymore in Alberta. But somebody introduced me to the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 2001.
Robert Kiyosaki's book.
That's a whole nother, I could talk for hours on what I've learned from that gentleman. And that's how I started to buy thousands of properties. But the first day I read the book, my goal was to own 100 properties. And I had 12. Because I had a friend that owned 200. And I was like shaking my head all the time. How can you own 100 properties, right? And
how can you own 5,000?
Right. But my point is, unless you have somebody that's going to mentor you, and you have to also realize that your little voice, because everybody right now is thinking, I can't own 12 or 200 or 5,000. Everybody's got a different number where you say, I can't do it. Right. Yeah. And it's that little voice that you need to tame. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad advisors, people I've met have really helped me with over the years, is to say, okay, you can do it.
You can do it. Because that little voice always tells you, most of the people tells that you can only buy one.
Sure.
In your whole life.
Sure.
That's what the little voice says.
And a lot of people, zero.
And if you own one, you are like really, really a successful person.
Sure. True enough.
That's the most, the biggest aspiration of most of the people in Latin America, and probably the same thing in the States.
Sure.
Canada. In Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody wants to own their own home. Yeah.
One. But changing that voice, how can you change that voice?
Well,
what do you have to do? What a regular person have to do to change the voice in the head and to start believing that you can own 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 12 or 1,000?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is your environment, who you hang out with. And if you hang out with people that say you can't do it, and that's all they do is say you can't do it, you're crazy, don't think that way, then you should change your friends. Maybe your spouse.
That's why I'm your friend.
Well, it makes sense. We hang out together. We have the same mindsets,
Yes.
you know. Maybe you don't own 5,000 properties, but you have that kind of aura around you about other things in life
Yes.
that I learned from you, right? So it's, you know, it's what are your goals, and then who can help you get there? And for me, again, it was Robert. It didn't happen in 1 year. It took me maybe 6-7 years after I read the book to buy those
7
properties.
years to get 5,000
Actually,
properties?
10, because we started in 2008. In 2012, we had 5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have all of those properties rented.
Yeah, we've sold some, but they were all rented for cash flow.
How do you manage that many properties?
Well, I really didn't do anything, Miguel. I didn't manage them. I didn't go see them. I just raised the money to buy them. So,
and then who manage the rent?
my partner, Ken McElroy. Yeah. So Ken McElroy is a rich dad advisor. So let me back up because it's important, I think, to set the context. So I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Then I start to go to some of Robert's events, and I'm paying $5,000 for 3 days. And I didn't have much money. Like, it was a big deal. So because of that effort, I then went back to Canada and applied what I'd learned at those events. And then my businesses started to grow, and I started to do seminars to teach Robert's philosophies in Canada, his cash flow game. So I study, I spend money on studying. I start to meet people that have much bigger context than me, much bigger thoughts. One of them was Ken McElroy. So he owned 4,000 properties.
4,000.
Okay.
Great.
And I thought, this is nuts. So I want to be in that environment, but I'm not going to, he's not going to just be my friend because I want to own properties. Everybody's always taking from him because he's got 4,000 properties.
Yes.
They're trying to get into his head. So I said, hey, Ken, would it be possible if I just hired you just to learn from you? He goes, yeah, I'll charge you $5,000 a day. I said, okay. Again, thinking that's a lot of money, US dollars. So I started
to... Did you get the money?
No, but I would make it.
Okay.
I'll explain how. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to do a seminar on real estate and promote Ken, and I'll sell tickets and I'll make $10,000. I'll pay Ken the $10,000. The seminar is 1 day. Day 2, just me. We just hang out, go for breakfast, go for lunch, just brainstorm. And we did that for 3 or 4 years, and then we became friends. And what I learned from Ken was, first of all, if you're going to have more than 10 properties, you have to treat it like a business, because it is a business. Most people treat it like a hobby. So most people own 5 or 10 properties. They won't have a website. They don't have business cards. They don't have a brand. Okay. So Ken and his partner Ross, they owned 4,000 properties. And what he explained to me over the years was there's many components to owning properties. His partner Ross was very good at the finance side of the business and building, because sometimes we'd build brand new apartments.
Okay.
Ken was very good at the management of the condos. Okay. That's very important. It's your asset.
Okay.
And Ken also would raise money to buy the properties.
Okay.
So if Ken was going to buy a $10 million property, he might have to give the bank $3 million as a down payment. Where do you get $3 million?
You have to raise the money.
Right. So he had clients like Robert Kiyosaki, NBA basketball stars, some movie stars. Every time he wanted to raise money, he would phone these people, and they're busy. He'd have to go meet them one-on-one, and then he'd have to pitch the deal. And he said, Darren, it takes so much time. Okay. So again, these were just conversations over the years.
Okay.
So now I have a seminar business that keeps growing and growing and growing because Rich Dad was very popular. 99% of my events were free on purpose. So I would have all these people come to my events, and maybe 5%, Miguel, would want to buy their own property, renovate it, rent it out, or start their own business. Most people would rather just give money to somebody to do it for them.
Okay.
That's just human nature. And a lot of my clients were dentists. Much less effort. And if you're a dentist, it doesn't make any sense for you to start looking at properties and buying a condo. So
you don't have the expertise, you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have anything.
Exactly. And if you buy one property, all right, you might get an okay deal. You buy 300 at a time, your price is much, much lower.
Yes.
So you're going to get a much better return on your money. So I'm just listening to Ken, and I thought to myself one day, I said to Ken, and I remember exactly where we're sitting in Scottsdale, right by the Fashion Place Mall, on the bench outside of this restaurant. And I said, Ken, what if when you need $5 million, you tell me, and then I'll raise the money, with all my investors in Canada, with people that come to my seminars in Canada. And he goes, no, I don't want to deal with hundreds of people. I said, no, we'll do everything. When you need $5 million, give me 90 days and I'll give you one check for $5 million.
Wow.
Okay. So he thought it was a good idea. And then he talked to his partner, Ross, and I didn't meet Ross at this time. And Ross thought, these Canadians, he called us crazy Canadian cowboys.
Okay.
He says, they're never going to do it, right? But we did. The first deal we put together was called Sun City, just basically in Phoenix. And we needed about, I think, $6 million. So I raised the $6 million, gave him a check. And then in return, our investors did very, very well.
Okay.
And we bought when everything crashed in 2008.
Okay.
So
it's funny because when you met them, you were thinking, how the hell can you have so much properties?
Right.
And when you told them that you were going to raise that much money so fast, they said the same thing.
Crazy.
They didn't believe it was possible.
Of course not, because how many people can do it?
It's funny.
Now, because of the skill set of raising capital, to me, it's the best business in the world. Because there's very few people that do it.
Capital?
Just goes, okay. So before I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I owned 12 properties. And I couldn't buy them for no money anymore. They changed the rules. Plus, the value came way up. So nobody had these problems with the property is worth less than it was worth. Nobody wanted
to sell them.
Right, for $1. So I started to look for partners. And I thought to myself, okay, who would be a good person to buy properties with that has money and they could get a mortgage? Because I couldn't get any more mortgages. The bank said, Darren, you're maxed out. Okay. So the banks kind of stopped me. So I started thinking, what occupation can I talk to? And most people right away say doctors.
Okay.
Well, they typically make pretty good money, but you can never get a hold of them. They're always busy, right? So I started thinking teachers, because some of my friends were teachers. They make pretty good money and they can qualify for mortgages. So Miguel, I used to go to conventions in Canada. And I know Phoenix, my daughter Phoenix also has a lot of days off in Mexico. Teachers get holidays, or not really holidays. They go to teacher conventions, okay? And there's 5,000 teachers at these conventions in Edmonton, which is where I'm from. And they go to breakout rooms where they're going to listen to an expert teach them how to become better teachers.
Okay.
But when the breakout room's done, then they go through these big halls, these big convention centers, and anybody can rent a booth. So I used to have a booth.
Okay.
It wasn't called Darren's, but Darren's Real Estate.
Okay.
So I had a banner. I had a box in gold wrapping paper with free dinner. I had brochures. I had I wear a suit.
Sure.
So I would just meet people as they came by and just say, Miguel, they're looking at my banner. Have you ever considered owning real estate? It's a great investment. It doesn't have the ups and downs of the stock market. And it's an asset that can give you cash flow for the rest of your life. So that was kind of the pitch, So again, I want people to realize this is before I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I did that for a year. I made a ton of mistakes. And then I said to myself, okay, I'm going to go to dentist conventions. They make more money.
Now that I have learned.
Right. And I had some teachers obviously become investors. Then I went to dentist conventions. And the first dentist ever bought from me, I thought he was going to do one deal. It was in Fort McMurray. And then we go to the lawyers. And he goes, okay, Darren, let's do 4 together. I thought, okay, dentists, much better than teachers. So then I was given the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad a few months later. Again, there's so many lessons I look back at, but I did a lot of these things before I ever read the book or started raising money with the seminar business. But it was just bigger. It was the same concept. I'd practiced, I'd made mistakes. I got better. It's, the 10,000 hour principle.
Yes.
It's something like that.
I have the book right here.
Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell.
Outliers. Gladwell.
So my 10,000 hours were at teacher conventions and then dentist conventions and then doing seminars all over Canada for 5 years before I raised any money from the seminars. But, again, I start thinking, I meet Ken. I hear his pain. His pain was raising capital.
Okay.
So Ken, I just said, what if I gave you that check for $5 million? Would you give me 20% of the profits? He goes, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. So the investors still got their money back first. They got a guaranteed rate of return. And then anything over that, the profits were then split. My portion was 20.
Okay.
Theirs was, every deal was different, but Ken and Ross's was 40 and the investors received 40 of it. Yeah. So that's kind of how we did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we did 20 different apartment buildings over 4.5, 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I have heard and learn from you right now is that you have to practice. You have to have mentors. You have to hang out with different people that have more skills and more results than you do.
Sure.
So you can learn, and you have to practice. And it's not about a month or a week that you're going to have success, right?
Very good summary. Exactly. Yeah, everything. 100% agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you meet Robert Kiyosaki?
Okay, so when I was given the book Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2001, I read that book, and it was one of the few books I'd read in the last decade since I graduated from university, because university left such a bitter taste in my mouth because I hated school. Okay. I really did. And I failed many courses.
Maybe that's why I thought you quit, because I have heard you saying that you hated school.
Yeah, I mean, receiving the tests, I'd always be the last in my marks. I felt stupid.
You were not a good student, right?
No, not at all. There was one course. It was taught by an entrepreneur, and it was a night course. I don't remember the guy's name. And this is the way he would grade people, by participation. So if you participated in class and you added to the conversation, that's how you got grades. So I got a 9 out of 9. Our scale was not a 9 mark. So I got 9 out of 9 in that class. That was the only time I came close to that mark. So again, that kind of shows me when I look back too, just because you can read a book and memorize something doesn't mean you're going to be successful, But
it just means that you have good memory.
Right. And I don't learn that way very well, and Robert Kiyosaki taught me that he didn't either. And there's nothing wrong with that. But school kind of, pigeonholes a lot of kids into learning that one way of listen to the teacher talk and read a book, then write a test, where, I'm a little more hands-on and I like to talk. And in school, they didn't like me when I cheated, but that's what I like to do. I like to talk. Why do I want to have the answer if I could just ask somebody else?
Yes, more clever.
So I read the book, and it's a book that I can't put down. I read it in one night. And then I went on the internet, and then Robert Kiyosaki was offering a course where you could teach his cash flow game. Cash flow is a game he created. And the game allows people to buy real estate, stocks, start businesses, network with people. Fun. Very fun. And the reason he created the game was you're going to make mistakes. So we would rather you lose play money than real money.
Okay.
So this course, I'm excited about it. I want to take this course where I can teach the concepts of Rich Dad Poor Dad in Canada, in Canadian terms.
The course was for teaching you how to teach the game.
Exactly. Okay. So I would be a facilitator.
Okay.
My goal was to go back to Edmonton or Canada and teach the game to people, and ask certain questions and debrief. But the challenge was, Miguel, was that the course was $10,000 US.
Okay.
Okay.
That you didn't have.
Barely. And then I had to take a flight to San Francisco for the 2-day training. And then when I decided to do that, I didn't have the money. I remember a credit card I had to write down and send in the form to pay. So I go to San Francisco, there's 200 people. Robert's not even there. And it was 2 days, I got to be honest. It was kind of a waste of time. I really didn't learn much. But the one thing you had to do is go back to your city, all 200 people.
Robert wasn't that?
Wasn't there. Course? No,
wasn't there. Who was the teacher?
Her name was Laurel Langmeyer, I think it was. It was a separate company that Rich had hired, I think, to do the teaching.
So you paid $10,000 for attending to a Robert Kiyosaki's course? Where there was no Robert Kiyosaki.
Nope, he wasn't there. But I would meet him 2 months later.
Did you know that before you got attend?
I don't think I knew that. I assumed you'd be there, but no, I don't think I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 2001. So the only requirement to go to the next step, because there was many steps you had to go through, was to then teach the game and record the game, and then send that recording to Laurel's organization for approval or feedback.
Okay.
So this is the crazy part. I don't know if you've heard the story, but there's 200 people that take it. That's $2 million in revenue, by the way.
Yes, a lot of money.
Okay. Guess what percentage of people only did the first step, just played the game and recorded it and sent in the tape?
I don't know, but I will guess less than 5%.
It was about 10.
10%.
Okay? 10%. So 20 people, 180 people for $10,000 don't even play the game. Like, what's so hard about having a game and recording it? And that's what I want to get across to people. If you want to be rich, it's really not that difficult, because most people, they don't have the drive. the determination, the discipline.
They don't do the things.
No, but I was so fearful my wife would kill me if I didn't do it, So I did the recording. I sent it in, and then Laurel says, "Hey, good job. You're the only person that you pass. Okay, now you're on your own. Go do cash flow games."
Okay.
And
now you can do the courses, the cash flow games, and charge for them?
I'm approved. Exactly. Wow. Yeah, approved officially. And I think
you can use the grant.
Yeah, and back then you could go on the Rich Dad site and, that's what I did. In the first event, I rented a room for 60 people, and only 4 showed up.
4?
Yeah. 4, yeah.
How does it feel?
Devastating. I lost more money, right? Obviously. And then I went to Calgary and 7
those
people.
4 were your relatives?
No, they didn't even show up.
Okay.
They didn't show up until I was having thousands of people.
My dad, my
no,
brother,
they didn't show up.
My wife.
No, I wish. But, again, I made mistakes, just like Robert said entrepreneurs do. Then I went to Calgary and I corrected and I had 7. So as a percentage, that's almost a double, right? Then went to Vancouver. I think there was 11.
Oh, wow.
And then the way
the business was growing.
Yeah, it was growing, yeah. And then the way that I met Robert was he didn't have a clue who I was for about 2 years.
Okay.
So after 2 years, I was the only facilitator doing cash flow games. Not one person made it go.
Okay.
So now I'm getting hundreds of people to come to my event. And Robert's organization phoned me. This was a big break, actually. I kind of forgot about this story. Have you ever heard of Harv Eker?
Yes. Harv Eker.
Yeah. So in October...
I have 2 courses with him.
Yeah. Amazing guy. Very generous man. Right. He actually asked me, Robert asked me to do an event for Harv, because Robert couldn't make it, to play the cash flow game for hundreds of people at Harv's event. So then after that, about a year later, my events are getting bigger, and Robert phones me and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm really proud of you. You're helping me with my mission." And his mission, which is the front part of the book, is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity.
Okay.
And because you've done such a good job for me, I'd like to invite you to a private business meeting, and you're going to meet some of my team.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, this is super, super cool, right?
Yeah. How old were you?
36, 35, 36.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to that meeting, and then at the same time, I kept going to his events. Like he'd usually have 2 events a year, and they were $5,000, and I paid the full price. And I started to bring people from Canada, 2 or 3, or then 10, or then 30. And I think Robert looked at that too and was appreciative, because, I bring 30 people and there's only 200 in the room. That's a big percentage. And then we just sort of became more friends, and he asked to come to Canada to speak for me one day. Yeah.
And you still the friend of Robert?
Yeah, I saw him in Cancun a year ago. I resigned as an advisor when I moved to Mexico. I retired from doing cash flow events. Him and I did my last event ever for cash flow was in Puebla.
I was at that event.
That's
we were like 2,000 people.
2,542.
I was invited to breaking the Guinness record.
Yeah.
That was the original proposal.
That's right.
But something happened that there was no Guinness record. There was a world record.
Yeah, I mean, Guinness charges you money to have one of their people come out. And we said, we don't need to do that. We don't care. It's still a world record.
But we were like more than 2,000 people.
2,542.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So after that, I just didn't really have it in the heart to do it anymore. Moved to Mexico, and I phoned Robert. I remember, standing in my house and just said, yeah, I just think it's time for me to move on, to do different things. And part of it was difficult was just the travel. Like when I lived in Canada, he'd call a meeting the next week and you got to go to Phoenix. It was tiring. It was tiring. It was difficult, but I learned so much from him. And I wanted to say something as well. When he asked to speak for me, he charges like $100,000 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So after doing these events for a couple of years, he says, I want to come to Canada. I want to say thank you. I want to speak for you. That little voice, even though I'd been trained for a few years, was still there. Because immediately I thought, 100,000? Damn, where am I going to get that? That's a lot of pressure,
yes.
Right? 100 grand.
Yes.
And then, after a couple of minutes of him talking and me always thinking, oh shit, where am I getting 100 grand? He goes something like, and obviously, Darren, I'm not going to charge you any fees. Yeah, I was like, that's exactly what I thought. And then he even said, and you don't have to pay my plane ticket, nothing. You've been so good with promoting my brand. I'm going to come up and I'm going to help you.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so a very generous man. We've never exchanged dollars and cents ever, Miguel. Okay. Never. Like if he says go to London, I would go to London. You know, I don't ask for plane, fare, nothing.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what is the best advice you have received from Robert?
So many lessons.
But if you have to pick one.
Okay, great. I think focus. There was an exercise we did at one of the events. It was on focus. And at the time it was around 2005. And in the seminar business, you're always going to meet people that are going to try to convince you to do something with them. Okay? Because, there's so many people come to these events and they all want to be a part of your, your gig. So at the time I would do different things. I owned, a company that would flip houses. I had part of a restaurant, advertising business, all kinds of different things. And there was one exercise we did. I won't get into the details. And at that moment I said, okay, I'm not going to do anything else except focus on my business, my seminar business. It was called Fast Track to Cash Flow. And ever since then, things kind of went very, very well.
Better. So focus in one thing and make it grow.
That's it. Yeah.
That's cool.
I just said to myself, if it doesn't grow my database, I'm not interested.
That's good.
That was it.
How important is to be friend of people with better results than yours?
I think it's really, really crucial. But I also have sort of a philosophy on how to find those friends. I kind of mentioned earlier, you can't just go to Ken McElroy and say, hey, can you teach me how to buy properties? Like,
that was my second question in the subject.
Everybody does
How
that.
do you make friend millionaire?
I kind of like equate it to if you're climbing a ladder, you have to do one rung at a time. So if you have 0 properties, find somebody who owns 3 or 4. Maybe befriend them, buy them lunch. And this is what Robert taught me. And this is why I said earlier, I did my events. They're almost all my events were free. So the more you give, the more you gain. So if you want to, learn how to do a podcast, and I've never set up a podcast, I'd rather buy you lunch and ask you some questions than try to do it myself. But if it's somebody you don't know, what if you offered them some of your time for free? You're gardening outside. If you don't have time to do it, I would say, maybe I'll take care of that for you. And then I wouldn't ask you to then teach me something. I would just do it. I just want to be in your environment. But Miguel, let's say that I was nice to you and I did things for you for, a number of months. And then I one day had a question.
No problem.
Of course, right? Human nature.
Responded.
Of course.
No problem.
So that's what I recommend is I didn't go to Ken McElroy and say, hey, teach me how to buy properties. Or can you imagine if I do that with Robert the first time I meet him? Like he'd shoot me. So it was just a little bit at a time. Poco Piquito? I don't know. Just a little bit at a time. And then when you own 100, now you can go find somebody who's got 500 properties. So.
That's what I did with you. I don't know if you remember, but when I met you at the Roberto Cantoral many years ago, I went to this event. It was a one-day event. And it was, I learned a lot of things from you. And I said, I want this guy to be my friend. But it was so far away from me. So I saw you there like 2 times, I guess, 2 or 3 times. I went to some of your free events once in a while. But then I went to Cabo.
Right.
To the event at Cabo. I think we were charged like $3,500, something like that. And I said, well, I'm close. There were less people.
That's right, 50 people.
And I tried to become your friend, but I didn't get it. So I offered you my time. I offered you to work for you, and we have this Zoom. Do you remember or not?
Had a what?
A Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, yeah, I do. I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
But it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. So I said, shit. Someday.
Sure.
And I still was trying to become your friend. And with the time and helping and getting in touch and attending to your events, and suddenly it started to happen.
I think when I came here to Querétaro as well, that was
I
a
went
big part
to
of it.
Querétaro and to Mexico.
It takes time.
Eventually, now you're here at my house. We're going to have, for the second time.
Exactly, yeah.
Second time, we're going to have a paella.
Exactly.
We're going to have fun after we're having fun right now, but
we're
going to have more fun after the podcast.
Exactly.
And we're going to see the F1, the Japan's race tonight. And so I think, as you say, the way to become friends of people like you is like helping, offering your time, as you said, and insisting, but not like insisting.
I mean, for some people that might work, but I don't think for most people that would work.
Subtle.
Yeah. And then as you get more credibility, it just becomes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are your actual mentors? Do you have mentors right now?
I do.
Who are they?
Well, the first mentor I had is John Murphy. So I started buying properties with John in the late 90s. So again, before I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this again was very important. Some of the lessons I learned with John, number one was the economies of scale. He started to buy apartment buildings where I was buying single condos. So he bought one building in Edmonton and he had me kind of manage the whole process. And we did a condo conversion. So we'd buy an apartment building with tenants, and per door, we're going to buy it for say $40,000. And then those same tenants would live in the building, but we'd move them out to renovate their suite. So you get new carpet and new cabinets and whatnot. And now that $40,000 unit is worth $80,000.
Well, double.
Okay. Now we only put in $20,000, but there's profit because of the economies of scale. And now the whole building's nicer. So my job was to offer that opportunity to the tenants to buy their own suite if they wanted. And if not, then we had investors all over the country that would buy one of those units. So you might be living in Montreal, but you'd buy a condo in Edmonton. Okay. So he was a huge mentor in my life, still is. In fact, he's now sort of on the board of directors for Freedom Investment Club. He's also on the deal committee for PM2 for the fintech. He's taught me so much. So he was the first mentor I had. Obviously, Robert. I just saw Ken McElroy last month. Ross is his partner. He's a great mentor. So there's a lot of good friends and a lot of good experienced mentors.
That's cool. And what do you study? Do you study every day? You study every once in a while? What do you study? What do you do for keeping your mind fresh and for keeping growing your money?
I study golf.
Okay.
Pickleball, hiking. I'm reading books. I'm doing audio books. I don't learn I probably am not as dedicated as I used to be. I have a really good quality of life. But there's always books I'm reading, articles I'm reading every single day, YouTube videos. I like those too.
What do you like to read?
Business, finance, mainly. Mainly. But there's a gentleman, I get his newsletter. His name is Ryan. And all of a sudden his last name escapes me. And he wrote a book on being a Stoic, but he always comes out with different books that he's read. So some of my other favorites are World War II and Winston Churchill, some of my heroes. So I kind of read those as well.
From your perspective, do you think that any person, no matter their background or their origin, can become rich?
Oh, of course. No doubt.
No matter if they have been born poor and no studies?
Well, I think you would have to start to study, but you don't need a formal education to be rich. Absolutely.
What they should do to become rich? Imagine a person that is very poor and has no education at a university and has no money.
Yep.
What that person has to do
Number
to become
one
rich?
is the desire. That's it. It's plain and simple. It's just your desire, your drive. So I was 6. I said I wanted to be rich. And for whatever reason, I kept trying to do things around money and eventually it helped. But many people at 6 years old said they wanted to be rich. But unfortunately, society or their parents, their environment kind of keeps them down. But anybody can be rich if they truly desire it. And then, of course, you should get some education from people who have done it. And these days with the internet, things like this, there's so many resources that are free. To me, there's no excuse if you're not rich. If you want to be rich, there's no excuse.
Okay. Then why so much people are poor and so few are rich?
They don't have the drive. We had, I went and spoke at an event just a few days ago, and I don't know the organizer. I think you're aware of some of the people that spoke there. It was free. And there's only a few hundred people showed up. And there's some great entrepreneurs that were sharing their information. But people are lazy, mentally and physically, and they don't have the drive. And that's fine. I don't really waste my time.
What about the education? Does it have something to do? The system?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think
the government wants people to be poor, and education is not so good.
Yeah, there's no financial education. I'm not sure if there's a conspiracy theory where people say, or the government says, I want them to be poor, but that's just my opinion. Maybe it's true, but you can't have teachers teach kids about money when they're not experts in money. Years ago, this is amazing when I look back. One of my staff was a school principal, Rick Suter. And remember when I said I used to go to teacher conventions? I met him, and he became my client. He bought properties with me. And then years later, I was in Kelowna, and he'd moved there, and he was a school principal, and eventually quit his job, and he worked for me. And he was raising capital, one of my sales reps. And he still had connections in the school. So he said, Darren, would you be interested to talk to 70 school teachers, and they all teach entrepreneurship? So I said, no problem. So I flew to Kamloops, a small little city. I didn't charge anything, I go there. There's 70 teachers. And of course, I wanted to get back at them. So I created a test, and I gave them a test. And of course, all the school teachers, wrote the tests, and they didn't talk. And then afterwards, I basically said, like, if you didn't know the answers, because some of them, they didn't know the answers. So I said, why didn't you ask your neighbor? Well, it was a test. Well, in the real world, if you want to know the answer, you ask her, So that's their mentality of thinking. And then the other thing was, I'll never forget this. 70 teachers. I said, how many of you have a part-time business? Only 2 people. Two. So how the hell can we get these people to teach our kids about business when they don't even have their own business?
It's crazy. It's
crazy. So my friend has used this joke for years, and I've stolen it from him. He probably stole it from somebody else, but it's like taking advice from a sex therapist who's a virgin. It makes no sense.
No sense.
Right?
I have this aunt that she is a nutritionist, but she's very fat.
Same thing.
The amazing thing is that she has clients. A lot of clients.
It is amazing, isn't it? Well, good for her. But it'd probably be easier if she was in better shape.
Yeah. So what do you recommend to invest in Mexico for people like us? What is your recommendation? I should invest in what?
Well, it's a loaded question when somebody asks me that, because I offer investments. But what I would say is you should look at many different deals to get education. So the problem most people have with investments is they don't have very good deals presented to them. Why? Because they're not in the circles that you and I hang out with. So you're going to typically get crappy deals because your network is crappy.
Okay.
The type of people you hang out with is not necessarily entrepreneurial or wealthy. So therefore you're going to get deals that are probably not very good. So the first thing I do is I said, just go look at different deals. And just by looking at, 5 different deals, you're going to learn a lot. Okay. You're going to have questions that are answered. It's like when I asked the 10 bankers the same question, got 10 different answers, same experience. So go learn first. Read some books, watch some YouTube videos, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, things like that. But what I found, and I mentioned this earlier, most people would rather say, you know what, I don't want to even consider doing that. It's too hard. I have no interest. And even if, I find a good deal, I don't know how to raise capital. The deals are probably small, so they're not as good as Darren's deals because they're bigger. So a lot of people just invest with me. Okay. But I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, if you want to learn, go look at deals. Look at ours, look at others. And I said that in Canada too. And I was always very proud to say, go look at other deals, because I knew ours were the best. I mean, truly, I know we're very professional. Our deals were freaking good. And I know people are going to come back. But most people still will not look at any deals. They'd rather just say, Darren, here's some money.
Like the ones that attended to the cash flow
exact same scenario.
They did nothing. Even they spent $10,000.
$10,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen that in this world.
Yeah.
So when people come to my events, I always say, congratulations, because you're one of a very few percentage of people who would come out. So I really appreciate your time. And congratulations. That's step 1.
What do you prefer to invest in? Real estate, stock market, Bitcoin, or crypto? Or what do you like the most?
Business. Businesses are the way the richest people in the world get rich. But I like businesses that have real estate as a product. Okay. So again, I mentioned earlier, if you're going to be serious about real estate, you have to treat it like a business. Okay. So I want to invest in people that have real estate that I can own and control. You can put a lien on it if they don't pay you back the money you lend them. I can see it. Robert also, in the cash flow game, taught something I think everybody should really consider, is how to create passive income and your passive income is more than what you spend. And when you get to that ratio, you're rich.
Okay.
So let's say you have 100,000 pesos a month to live on, and it's for your food, entertainment, education for the kids, everything. That's your expenses.
Okay.
And you start to invest in over, a number of years. Now your passive income, money you
higher.
make when you sleep, it's higher than 100. So now every month you're making a little extra. You can quit your job because you never have to work again. Your passive income is higher than your expenses. So
that's the dream of most of the people.
Sure. And it's reality for a lot of people. And there's some huge advantages in Mexico, which I can get to. But up until that time, I would not invest in anything speculative. Okay, so cryptos, you and I have had this discussion.
Yes.
I've told people for years, unless you're financially free and you can afford to lose it, why would you want to invest in something that's just pure speculation?
Okay.
There's nothing to it. It's invisible.
But knowing what you know about Bitcoin, right now, Bitcoin is like $68,000 each Bitcoin.
Sure.
If you could go back in time, would you buy Bitcoin or not?
Well, not based on that philosophy, but I can't say that would obviously be a really good decision based on the price now.
Yeah.
But for every Bitcoin that does that, how many go to zero?
Yeah.
How many? 1,000 to 1, 10,000 to 1, the odds.
Yeah.
But also, I can't buy food on Bitcoin. It doesn't give me cash flow.
No.
Right? No. So where do you get that kind of money to buy things like Bitcoin and it doesn't give you cash flow? So again, when you're out of the rat race, then I don't care what you do because it doesn't matter. You've always got your passive income coming in.
Okay.
So I like to invest in businesses that have real estate. I invest in the stock market, and when it crashed in 2008, I lost $250,000. I said no more.
Okay.
And now I want to own and control things.
Okay.
So that's what I like to do. And I don't own and control Bitcoin even.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. This is, as you said, is speculative.
Right. And now a lot of people say, well, Robert Kiyosaki says, buy silver, buy gold.
Now he's promoting Bitcoin.
Oh, he has since Puebla. Okay. But he is out of the rat race.
Yeah.
That's
he has
the
the money
key
to
difference.
do it.
Gold doesn't give you cash flow. Silver doesn't give you cash flow. And when COVID happened, I didn't see anybody trading in gold and silver.
No.
So it's not like, the world's coming to an end, everybody's going to start trading in silver and in gold. No, it's not. So if your cash flow is less than your expenses, if your passive income is less than your expenses, I would stick to things that give you cash flow.
Okay, that's good.
That's my theory.
Imagine you lost all your money. You got to zero right now.
Yeah.
And tomorrow you have to start from zero. What would you do? How do you start?
Simple. Again, I said this the other day. We were speaking in Cuernavaca. It was to a group of about 120 ladies, and they were in a network marketing company. And I said, the government can never take away your skills. So I was really happy they were there for the one-day event. And what we focus on at different events that I host and that you host is skills. So I now have the ability to be able to communicate to people. I can sell, I can present, I can do some basic accounting, I can put together deals. So I don't need money. And if everything was gone tomorrow, I would just use those skills to start again. And again, even in COVID, people like me are still, like the richest people became richer. So I'm not worried about it whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think is the best skill that an entrepreneur or a person that wants to become rich need to develop?
I would say there's three things. The first is you have to know how to raise capital.
Okay.
Because if you want to have a business or scale anything, you need money. You need money probably more than you have on your own. So the first thing is you need to know how to raise capital. And second of all, you need to understand how to build a real business. The cash flow quadrants, it's a book Robert wrote. There's an S business, which is small business. It's like you're a slave to your business, or an actual business with a team and systems where you're not stressed out and pulling out your hair because you have to do everything. So number one, raise capital. Number two, build it so it's a B business. And then number three is you have to have the leadership skills to hire people, to have a team. Okay. So if you can't convince people to work with you, you're never going to grow.
Yes,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. So those three things I think are important.
What are your daily success routines? Do you have one?
Not really. I've read the books where you get up at 5 a.m, you do the journaling and you do the exercise and all this stuff. I don't really do any of that.
No routines of success? You have to do some routines because you are so successful. Some things that you do.
I don't know. Just whenever work has to get done, you just do it. I don't know. My routine is I get up in the morning, have a coffee. I don't eat until noon now. Try to do some exercise and go to the beach every day for at least half an hour, get some sun. But I just, kind of just work when you have to work. Well, do its priority.
What were your routines when you weren't rich? Before you become rich?
Again, I didn't have a specific routine like this is going to make me successful and again, do journaling or do this or that. I just get up and roll up my sleeves, I don't have any secrets, just do things that need to be done.
Work. Work.
Maybe a top 3 list. I have my to-do list on my little iPad. And then what's the most important things to do? So the top 3 list, I kind of enjoy that. And then you could even do the top 1 of 1. Okay, get this one thing done today. But, I don't really have a specific routine. I don't know. I just say just do it. It's not hard.
Like Nike.
Exactly. Just do it. Yeah.
That's cool. How important is your dress code? This is one of the rare occasions in where I see you without your suit and your tie. You always are very formal, suit and tie, and I'm not so formal. And some people tell me that I look like homeless, and then I have to be more formal, and nobody's going to do business with me. What do you think about that?
Well, I think anybody who wears...
Do we have to be so formal to make money and to do business with people?
Okay. Anybody who wears 2 watches, you should not do business with. They're crazy. Why the hell you got 2 watches on?
So you want to do business with me?
No, I'm kidding. It changes over time, but people look and they have a first opinion. And we've done this exercise. Robert did this exercise, and then I would copy and do the same thing in Canada. But, you could have 5 people look at you that don't know you, and we would write down the average amount of money they thought you made per year and what your occupation was. So I was like, that hits hard for some people, and they might say, this is an example. They might say, okay, he looks like a school teacher, makes $35,000 a year. Is that what you want to be looked upon when people look at you? Is that what you want them to think? So it depends, on what you want people to think, but also what you're doing. In the business of raising capital, I wear a suit.
Okay.
But when you go to Cabo and see me, I have chanclas on every single day, short pants and a t-shirt.
Okay.
A t-shirt. If I golf, I put on a collar because that's just the rules there, right?
Okay.
But I'm very casual. But as you get more experience, it becomes less necessary, I think, to dress the part. So suits obviously have helped me, but if I can't put together 2 sentences on stage, it doesn't matter how good I look in a suit.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be able to speak. And then as you get older, more success, your house becomes your business card. My house in Canada, the house in Cabo, it sells everything for you.
Yes. Is it pretty, your house?
Pardon?
Your house is pretty?
Well, I wouldn't say pretty. Isn't it maybe manly or something? But no. I mean, I've had nice houses. I've got to be honest. I've had nice houses. I picked up an executive one time from a coffee company that I had. I just sold it last summer. And I thought, what car should I drive? I had 2 Mercedes and a Ferrari. Picked them up in the Ferrari. So that did the deal. Just the Ferrari.
Yeah.
But I think I was in shorts and chanclas even in Canada at the time because it was summertime. So, the business card, the website, all these things are going to influence people. But it just depends on what you want to accomplish. If you want to raise capital, meeting people that have money and they're going to look at you and they're going to look and make first impressions. And unfortunately, sometimes if you're not wearing a suit or if you have earrings or tattoos, big beard like this, the ponytail, some guys are going to say, no, I don't like them.
No, thanks.
Right. It's just, it's not that you're a bad guy, but what do you want to accomplish by talking to those people? And then you may want to, it's just an outfit, right?
Yes.
It's a game.
Yeah. For me, it's a character.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is a character, which is a rebel. So that's why the beer and the watches and the fire mouth, etc. Yeah. But it's a character. Like, you know Broso?
No.
Broso is a clown.
Okay. Oh, I think you've told me about him.
This clown is a reporter? No.
Okay.
the news guy.
Okay.
He's very famous.
Okay.
And he's one of the most the better news guys in Mexico.
Okay.
But he's a clown.
Yeah.
Green
Interesting.
hair,
Sure. Yeah.
mask on him.
Yeah,
And he's always drunk.
Okay.
And he is with his clothes.
Okay. Disheveled. Yeah.
But he's so good. But he's a character.
Right.
So this I'm a character.
Right.
But I agree with you that if you are not famous people, if you don't have done some credentials, you have to be some formal in business.
Yeah. So you need to dress for what your goals are and for the audience. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to wear a suit if I go to speak to. Well, maybe I still would, but maybe not as formal if you're speaking to farmers. I used to go. Just thought of this now. I used to go to teacher conventions and also farmers. Farmers have a lot of money, so I wouldn't go meet them with a suit on. None of them have a suit, right?
Strange.
Yeah. So you need to change your context based on your goals and the other person.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it true that Robert Kiyosaki is broke?
No, not that I know of. I don't think that's possible.
Because there's an article that I asked for people to send me questions for you.
Yeah.
On my social media, and some of them, because I said that you were one of the advisors of Robert Kiyosaki. Darren is advisor in raising capital for Robert, and they sent me a photo of an article that says Robert Kiyosaki owes like $1,000 million. Yeah. He's broke. Well, the article doesn't say he's broke. People say he's broke because he owes $1,000 million.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact story, but I think there was a lawsuit in one of the businesses. Mm-hmm. So the reason you have businesses is to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that businesses are allowed to do is to go bankrupt. So if your business goes bankrupt, it's a lot different than you going bankrupt personally. Okay. So I don't know all the details, but it could be in regards to something like that years ago.
I think that the article says that Robert says that there are good debt and bad debt. And he owes $1,000 million because he has debt for their business as a regular debt. That's what I think.
Well, again, I don't know the specifics, but I know that there was a lawsuit once. And again, if somebody sues you and your business is determined to be guilty and somebody sues you for $10 million, then what do? You turn off the business.
That's it.
Next.
And you're not broke.
It's not personal. There's a difference between personally owing the money or your business owing the money.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't think he's broke.
As far as you know, he's not broke.
Of course not. No. He owns thousands and thousands of property.
You are one of his financial advisors and he's broke.
The other thing that I'll say about Robert is, I dealt with him for 20 years and I had never heard him lie about anything. There was never a story that changed. He's just always just honest, So if he was having a problem, somebody asked a question, he'd answer it for you. But I don't think he's broke.
How do you change a poor mindset into a rich mindset?
If I knew that, there'd be a lot more rich people. My mindset was always rich since I was 6. So I didn't have to change it. I just kept it going, I guess. But I don't know why. There was a word, I think it was a Latin word called a priori, and it's basically born with prior knowledge. So again, maybe I was born with some prior knowledge. I don't know. But I just had a drive to be rich. Every boy wants a Ferrari or a Lamborghini when they're a kid, right? So why wouldn't you try to do that? It's better than the alternative is working for 40 years and being poor after. I mean, let's be honest. How many people that live the poor dad way, if you've read the book, you'll know what that means. If you haven't, read the book. How many of those people, go to school, study hard to get to university? Why? So you can get a job. You get a job, then you just make a little bit of money, just over broke, save some money. Of course, you should have some savings. I'm not saying that's bad. You're going to invest in crappy deals the bank offers you. They're the ones that make all the money. You might buy a house, and then it takes 25 years to pay it off. And then when you retire, you're supposed to live below your means. Okay? Well, that's not a very nice life to me. I'm not going to work 25, 30 years and live below my means. And how many of those people that did that, go to school, work hard, get a job, are rich? And almost none.
None.
So to me, that's really, really risky. So how on earth is it difficult to have a mindset that says, I don't want to do that? You know, so I'm just a very straightforward kind of guy. I don't believe in any of this motivational shit you need to do. No, just like say, just roll up your sleeves and do what you need to do.
Do what you have to do.
But use your brain. There's mental laziness and physical laziness, you know? So, you know, some of our sales reps, if they don't make 100 calls, I'm saying, okay, why? You know, when I used to make phone calls, I didn't get a salary. Nobody told me what to do. I just wanted to be rich. So I'd make more than 100 calls.
Okay.
Right? But then if you're making a call 100 times and the answer is no all the time, maybe you should stop and think a little bit differently, you know? But some people are just lazy mentally as well.
They don't
Make
change
sense?
the pitch.
Yeah, but okay,
Keep
why?
doing the
Why?
same thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe you should stop and say, okay, this isn't working. You
Let's
know,
do
maybe I'll do something
different.
different. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have some questions. Some of them I have done it to
Okay.
you. I have some others in my cell phone, which did the followers of my Facebook. Let me take some of them. Some of them are really funny.
Okay.
Like the Robert Kiyosaki one.
Yeah.
That's a funny one. Because I don't think he's broke either. Let me...
Yeah.
Oscar wants chamba from you. He wants a job.
He wants a
Can
job?
you give him a job? Oscar Villegas says, ask him if he can hire me.
Can you work for free?
Oscar, te contratas y trabajas gratis.
We're always looking for salespeople. Always.
Huh? You want to be a sales
Sales representative?
representative?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he can hire you.
Yep.
Here's someone that says, Ley Marcos says, nobody is going to reveal you how to be success. They are just going to give you motivational phrases and they're going to want to charge you for a little advice. That will not work.
What's his name?
Ley Marcos.
Okay, well,
What do you think?
Well, I just said I'm not motivational. I just roll up my sleeves and get stuff done. And I haven't offered any courses. And I said there's so many things you can do for free. So I think you're wrong.
But he thinks nobody's going to help him.
That's your mindset. Then if that's your mindset, you're right.
Lucerna, the haters. There are some haters.
Okay.
We have to manage the haters.
Of course.
If you have so much money and it's so easy for you to make money, why do you charge for your courses, for your seminars? If you're supposed to not need to work anymore, why you charge for your work?
Yeah. First of all, I don't. So I said 3 times today, 99% of my seminars are free. And the one that we charge for is called the Super Conference. And it's a very, very nominal fee. But if you don't charge, I just also said this. I spoke at an event this week with some speakers you know. You can say their names. I don't remember all their names if you want. Nobody showed up. Because if people don't have to pay something, don't have to sacrifice, they typically don't do it.
Yes.
So there's pros and cons to that comment. But I'm always proud that 99% of my events are free and anybody can attend, whether you have money or you don't.
Okay.
In
What
Canada
do you
and
think
Mexico.
about mentors like me that charge for the seminars? Is it fair to charge for your work?
Of course. Of course.
And is it right and fair that if I like to teach, I charge money for my seminars?
Well,
Is it correct?
there has to be an economic engine to everybody's day. Okay? So whatever it is, you need to make some kind of cash. You can have the biggest heart in the world and I want to save the world, I want to save the planet. You can have the best charity idea you want. You still need to have money. So the reason I don't charge is because I'm going to sell you something. So people, I built a very, very big business in Canada and Mexico by free events. Well, guess what? Now I've got people in the audience that hopefully get to like me, get to trust me, get to know me. I can now pitch my investments, okay, or whatever product I want. I don't like selling courses. I've never done well at it. I don't like it. But I would pay 10 times more for every penny I spent on courses with Robert Kiyosaki or Harv Eker or others. So for me, I learned so much more by going to these courses. I can't put a price on it.
Okay.
So it's just a mindset. Why do people pay so much to go to university? And yet we won't want to pay somebody $100 to go to a course.
Yes, it's funny.
Makes no sense.
Because
it's just
you
your
go
mindset.
to the university with a teacher that has no experience,
Sure.
and you don't want to go and pay to a person that has
Exactly.
experience
Exactly.
and that really can help you to improve your business or
Totally
your
agree.
finances.
Yeah, it's the poor dad way of thinking. Education's good. I need to get a degree, but oh no, I wouldn't give my kid $500 to take a real estate course, right?
Yeah. What should I do if I have $35,000? Where do I invest it?
You know what? Again, number one is you should invest in yourself. Take some personal development courses. I think the more personally developed you are, the more money you're going to make. But I said already in the podcast, go look at different deals. Obviously, PMIDOS is something you can look into. We have great deals, amazing team of people, a lot of experience.
We're going to talk about PM2 and some of your investment deals in a minute.
But my personality is, again, I don't start pitching and pitching and pitching. People ask me a question, you know what? Come and look at our deals, but go look at others.
Yeah, sure. She says, Maris, what can I do to know what he knows in investing my money?
Well, you know, again, get involved with our organization, Freedom Investment Club. This morning we had a Zoom, Miguel, and they're free. They're free events. And I went over how to look at different investments, some of the lessons that Robert taught me. So that's just one way is to get onto our emailing lists. And then just do things like I mentioned today. Read some of the books I've talked about. Go on some of the YouTube channels. You can do so many things for free to learn.
Roberto Aguilar says, is it true that there's coming a real estate crack?
There's always going to be a real estate crash. Every single year, there's going to be a real estate crash somewhere in the world, in certain countries, certain areas. So, I mean, of course, I'm going to say yes. But specifically where and when, you can't make a general statement that the whole world's going to have an economic real estate crash.
Do you like to invest in the future of the planet? Do you like lands for conservation?
I don't invest in it because it doesn't provide any cash flow. So I don't do that. I have charities that I donate to, but I don't do it from an investment perspective.
Okay. In what should you invest if you had $1 million and you want to duplicate it, double it in 1 year?
Your own business. But why would you want to use your own money in case it doesn't work? So how about we do more than 100% return? If you use somebody else's money and you make money, you make an infinite return.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm. How many hours do you sleep and how many do you work? Ask Tom Biasini.
Yeah. I sleep 7 or 8 hours. I sleep a lot. I don't like alarms. I do not like alarms. So I sleep 7, 8 hours a day. And then every day is different. You know, Mondays I work quite a bit because we have some meetings. But I don't think I work more than 6 hours a day on average.
6 hours a day? How many days in a week?
5 on average.
Okay.
But again, you know, to me, things are not work. This morning, I woke up. I was preparing for this webinar. And Edgar, who's sitting in the room here with me, he had a client, a very nice lady I've met a few times. She's an investor. He was having breakfast. So I said, hey, let me come and at least say hi. So to me, I didn't have to do that, but I don't consider that work. This isn't work to me. I enjoy everything I do. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
for me,
even if it was 14 hours a day, I like it.
Yeah. It's not a work.
Yeah. And now this week I've been traveling. So you could say, okay, you're working 20 hours a day. Well, maybe, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Meet good people.
If you like it, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nayeli says, Nayeli Dicante, are you happy with all the power you have?
I don't think I have any power.
She thinks you do.
Yeah. I'm a happy person.
She thinks you're powerful.
Yeah. I'm a happy person, but I don't think I'm powerful.
I think she means like all your money. Are you happy being rich?
Yeah, I'm a happy person.
How did you achieve becoming happy?
Again, I had a good childhood. I look back now that I see the world and I realize that my childhood was really, really rare because there was no drama. My parents were really good people. I've just always been a pretty happy person.
Alejandro Bárcena says, what advice would you give to young people that want to get into the sales world?
Start your own business. I really suggest you start your own business. On top of that, you could get into a network marketing company because that way it's easier just to focus on sales versus how many components to a business there are. But as a young person, you have so many advantages. When my son was about 11 years old, he started his first business. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we created flyers. He created it. And then I printed them off in my office. And then he'd go knock on doors and it was picking all the weeds in the gardens. Everybody said yes to him. Maybe he was 10. Everybody said yes. You have such an advantage when you're young. And the richest people in the world I mentioned earlier have businesses. Getting a job typically is not going to make you rich. So the earlier that you start, the earlier you're going to fail. So why not start when you're young?
Yeah.
And learn those lessons, make a couple have a couple failures, and then you're just going to get better and better. Yeah. So absolutely.
And in Latin America, it's easier because you're living with your parents.
Sure.
In Canada and the United States, they kick you out at 15, 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, to some degrees. Yeah, there's some of that too.
In Mexico, you are 28 and you still live with your parents.
It's a very good tip. Stay at home as much as you can.
Pavel Robles says, what do you have for breakfast?
I don't eat until noon or 1 now. I do intermittent fasting. And my last meal is usually at 8 p.m. And I usually have protein pancakes or omelets, depends on what my muchacha makes. I'm trying to watch my weight.
Ana Claudia Silvia says, do you have girlfriend?
Of course.
Sorry, Ana Claudia. Hold on. There's a girl that wants to marry you.
Not too expensive, no gracias.
But she says, what is this question? She says, please tell him that I will take care of him. I want to be his wife. But I don't find
Chiviado, what kind of podcast is this, Miguel?
She wants to marry you.
I'm off the market. Did she send a picture?
There's a picture.
That was a joke. Next question, please.
I want to find it.
Next question.
Well, you have some ladies that want to marry you.
Okay.
I guess you are very handsome, or
getting old.
Maybe you have 5,000 properties, or both.
and I don't have 5,000 anymore. I try to always be 100% honest.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, when somebody says you have 5,000 properties, well, I didn't own 100% of them.
Okay.
Ken and Ross owned part of it. My investors owned part of it. I owned part of it.
Okay.
Right. And then some of the properties we bought, we sold. So now I'm buying a lot more in Mexico. So maybe if you look at the numbers, maybe it's close, but I don't own 5,000 and get cash flow from 5,000.
Okay.
You have partners. So that's something else. It's something to consider. Is like when people say things, you really got to think of, okay, what's the real truth behind that? And there's a lot of people in the investment business, in the seminar business that puff their chests a lot. Okay. So if anybody ever asks me specifically, I always tell the truth. Okay, I don't own 5,000. We bought 5,000, but I also had 5,000 investors.
Okay.
Right? And they have to be taken care of first. So until they're taken care of, I make $0.
That's cool.
Okay. So, and that's why I think we grew so much as well, is that's fair. When I say to you, Miguel, if you're going to invest with me, how about this? You get all your money back first, and you're going to get a guaranteed, can't say the word guaranteed, but you're going to get, 6 or 7% first. After that, we're going to share. And people say, that's reasonable.
That's cool.
Fair, right? Whereas the banks, even if you lose your money, they're taking fees.
Yeah.
So that's why we grew so much.
You
just
reduce
honesty.
The risk on the investors.
It's fair. It's a fair structure, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah, if I get you into this deal that you'd never get access to, and I get all my money back and a little bit of a return, then you should get some profits. Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about PM2, which is one of the investment trades you have right now.
Well,
I think it's a great deal.
As you know, I'm not very technological. I'm not on social media and all this stuff. But it really is the wave of the future to see that Mexico has come so far in technology platforms for investments. And it allows everybody to invest in deals you never would have gotten access to in the past. So when I first moved to Mexico, I had the company Freedom Investment Club of Mexico. And we have a lot of investors, hundreds and hundreds of investors and shareholders. And we did that in a legal format called a SAPI. Okay. So when Oscar, who I've invested with for 10 years, approached me with the fintech, and I started to look at how it all works, it just made so much more sense. It just makes things much more efficient. And when things are efficient, investors get paid better returns. So I got involved with PM2. It's been just about a year with negotiations, a little bit more now, actually. And it's a platform that allows you to buy real estate investments online. And I'm really excited about it, and we're working hard to make it better. But that's my new project.
That's cool. People can invest. What's the minimum amount that people can invest?
I believe the minimum is 1,000 pesos.
1,000 pesos.
1,000 pesos,
and you get a return of.
Yeah, you'll get a return of 12, 13, 14%. Don't quote me, but approximately it's on the website. And then the more you invest, we have different tiers where you can go higher and higher, 16, 17% returns. And
I give you the money.
Yep.
I give the money to PM2 start from 1,000 pesos.
Yep.
And what do I buy? Or what do you invest the money in?
You can choose the real estate deal you like. So we usually have 4 or 5 different deals. One of my favorite industries, it sounds crazy, it's called, I call it this, ugly houses.
Okay.
So we're buying really ugly houses. We're buying hundreds at a time to get a really good deal. We renovate them, and it goes into the Info and VIVIR program.
Yes.
So I've been doing that for over 10 years. So that's some of the deals. We have a brand new condo development in Cancun area with my friend Raul Martinez. So you can pick what property you want to invest your money in, actually. It's up to you, the investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that you are the second, PM2 is the second provider of houses for the Infonavit. That's what Oscar says the other day.
Okay, yeah, Oscar would know more about the technical. I mean, some of our partners, like PM2 is just the platform. The people that buy the houses and renovate them, that would be a different company, right? So they could be the second largest provider to Infonavit.
Okay.
Right? Makes
so
sense?
PM2 raises the money.
Yes.
And give it to the other company.
Exactly.
And the other company do the deals.
Now, why do we do that? Why do people want us to do that? It's just like I said with Ken McElroy. He says, I don't have time. Raising capital is like a whole nother business. So exactly. So our developers, people that buy the ugly houses, they'd rather say, hey, we'll give you a really good interest rate because we don't have time or the business sense to raise all this capital. We want to focus on the mission of building and buying these houses for Info to VIVIR, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
You told me you have a promotion or a gift or something to the people.
Well, I thought it'd be nice, based on all your hospitality and the food you're going to take, you're going to feed me here soon and whatnot. How about you give everybody a little gift of 100 pesos to put into their investments on the platform of their choice. And the reason I want to do this is, remember when I said when I invested when I was in grade 6? Biggest thing that kept me going was getting those statements every month or every 3 months, because then it was real. So we could talk about Pimidos right now and people are going to, they're going to listen. But now that you can get an investment for free, 100 pesos, no strings attached, now you're going to be registered to the platform.
Okay.
Now you're going to see your returns. You're going to see your money actually start to grow.
Okay.
You'll get some emails with your statements and updates on the property. And it's real. And that's the reason I want to do this, is to make it real.
So what let me see if I understood.
Sure.
Everyone that gets, you're going to give me a link.
Yes.
And I'm going to put it in the podcast or in the
description, whatever.
Description in Facebook or Instagram, whatever. And any person that gets and put their data in this link, they're going to receive 100 pesos for free in the investment.
Yes.
They don't have to put any money.
They don't have to put any money in at all. To get the money out, I think you have to put 100 pesos in to get it out. But to start with, you don't have to.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to give 100 pesos and they have to put another 100 pesos.
Eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But you can let it just grow.
So it's a great deal.
Yeah.
You're going to give 100 pesos to every person
for free. You'll see how it goes. Yeah. And if you don't think it's something you like, then don't ever put money in and it goes away. But if you start to say, okay, this is making sense, I'm learning, I'm getting really good returns, then obviously 99% of the people put a lot more than 100 pesos.
That's cool. Yeah. Ana Sofia, my daughter, put like 10,000 pesos the other day in PM2.
Really?
And now she has like 11,000 pesos. And
good.
She's happy.
That's good. Oh, good. I didn't know. Cool. Okay, good. You have great kids. So that's the deal. And the government's going to ask for certain pieces of information, obviously, to get the account set up. And then once you fulfill that, we'll get you the 100 pesos.
Yeah. And it's very easy to fill the form.
Yeah.
You have to, your INE, your data, some personal data, your phone number, your email address, something like that. And then if you want to invest in PM2, you just transfer some money to the platform and that's it. Yeah. It's really easy. But for this, what Darren is offering us is you get into the platform, you put your data, and you're going to receive 100 pesos for free.
Yep.
That's cool.
Takes a couple of days, obviously, with everything to be done. It's automated. Somebody might give you a call if there's any questions or something's missing. But yeah, no problem. 100 pesos for free. And you can pick your project.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a great gift.
My pleasure.
So we're going to start there fast.
Okay.
Questions.
Okay.
Round. Okay. The fast questions round with Darren Weeks. You have to respond very fast. Okay. Your favorite beverage?
Coffee.
Favorite sport?
Ice hockey to watch, pickleball to play.
Okay. Book that changed your life?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Eagle.
What superpower would you like to have?
When a supermodel asked me that question, I'm not kidding, not too long ago, I was hoping for X-ray vision. Today, not so much.
Married or single?
Taken.
Would you like to adopt me?
We'll see how good supper is. What are we having? Paella?
Paella.
Yeah.
Paella.
Yeah, you're a great cook. You're a great cook.
Adopt me. Take me to Cabo.
Okay.
What famous person would you like to meet?
Alive or dead?
Alive.
Trump.
Trump. Okay.
You know, AMLO too. I'd like to meet AMLO. I really would.
Okay. Where do you like to go for vacation?
I live in paradise, so it's funny because people say, "Oh, go here, go there," but I just want to see more of the world. I travel quite a bit on purpose just to see the world. I think the next destination that I want to go to is Argentina, and specifically because of the new president. I've been to Argentina, but I'm going to go with my family, and I want to go there just to support the president's new economic vision.
Okay. And the last one, real estate or crypto?
Come on, not even close. Business that has real estate in the business.
That was the fast questions round to Darren Weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we have a little more, a few more.
Okay, sure.
A few more questions. Just a few more. Is it easy to raise money?
For me, it is. I mean, nothing's easy. It's a process. You know, the first person I raised money from, I think, was my mom.
Okay.
You know,
everybody raises money from his mom.
Yeah. But if you read my book, for instance, and you start to do what I suggest, I don't know anybody who's done it, tried, and listened to what I actually say that's failed.
Okay.
But I also don't know too many people that have actually done it.
Okay. That's a fair thing to do it, as you have said.
Right.
Many times through the podcast, do the homework, do the things. Okay, what is success for you?
You know, my kids. I think having three great kids that have good attitudes and polite and nice people. It's always good for me to have comments about my kids. So that's pretty good success for me.
Okay, but in general, what is success for you? What is success? How do you catalog a person as successful?
Me or somebody else?
Somebody else.
I don't. You live your life and I live my life. I don't know.
You don't care?
No.
Okay. 5 books that we must read if we want to become rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Is a good one. Yeah. I could give you 4. I could give you 10 Kiyosaki ones. Another one, if you have a business, and I suggest that everybody should have a business, because the richest people in the world have businesses. It's called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. That's important. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Guide to Investing.
Okay.
That's by Robert Kiyosaki as well. Within the Guide to Investing is something called the BI Triangle, which to me is just one of the most important tools. I use it every single day. And then the 5th book would be the Cash Flow Quadrants, you know, to understand where you are and how you need to change your thinking to go from one side to the other. Very popular book. So those are some.
And the last one?
Well, you know, again,
the art
to me,
of raising capital.
It's a good book, but without Rich Dad, Poor Dad first and the mindset and realizing the quadrants and whatnot, this is very advanced.
Yeah, this is not for starters.
Right, exactly. Now, can you still raise capital by, if you have a small business, let's say, I know a friend in Guadalajara, their kids are selling bananas, like frozen bananas with sprinkles on them or whatever. That's raising capital. Selling is raising capital.
For sure.
And increasing your sales is better than raising capital, because raising capital, you have to pay it back.
Okay.
So sales are a really, really important skill to have. So as you're young, a sales skill is very similar to raising capital. Okay.
Okay, super. If you were allowed to have a coffee with someone you admire so much, alive or dead, who would you pick?
Terry Fox. He's a Canadian hero. in the late 70s or early 80s, he had cancer and lost his leg.
Okay.
And then he started to run across the country of Canada, which is huge, on like a wooden leg.
Wow.
And running across country raising money. And nobody took him serious. And, he started to run, and then he got more cancer, and he couldn't finish. He died. Oh. He died when he was 20 years old or 21 years old. So he's my biggest hero. Wow. So it would be him. And now, in honor of him now, there's Terry Fox runs all over the world. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been raised for cancer because of him. So. And
if you were allowed only to make him one question, what question would you make?
What kept you going? Because when he first started, there's been obviously different movies made on him, but when he first started, nobody was giving him any money. It's funny, like he's on the highway, he's in pain, he's crying, he's got more cancer, and somebody drives and takes money out of the bucket that they were, holding for people to donate. Mm-hmm. So I think what keeps you going? There was no notoriety when he first started. Eventually it gained, but zero notoriety. Nobody's cheering you on. There's nothing you're going to gain from it. So that would be the question, is like, what kept you going?
Okay.
Amazing.
That would be a great question. Mm-hmm. And the last one, what means for Darren Weeks to live in modo fuego, to live in fire mode?
Fire mode?
Yeah. What does it mean to you?
Like fire mode, like when to get stuff done?
The podcast name is to live
yeah.
The podcast is Vivir en modo fuego.
Okay.
To live in fire mode. What does it mean for you?
Well, again, it just is a matter of, okay, what are your goals? What's driving you? And then just roll up your sleeves and do it. I really don't know. Like I just, there's so many times people ask these questions, like I just do it. If something has to get done, just do it. And I just get frustrated with people. Well, just do it. Either I can tell somebody some answers on what to do, or you can read about it, or you can tell them experts can tell them, and just do it. You have all the answers, or you can get them on your phone. Like literally everything you want an answer to, you could Google or find an answer to, right? So just do it. Get your ass on fire and do it. Does that help?
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't have a whole bunch of motivational sayings and whatnot. Just do it, man.
Cool. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do the stuff. Do the homework.
Yeah, like I did the first cash flow game, okay? I booked the room and I tried to advertise to get 4 people out. Okay, nobody cared that I failed, and then what do you do next time? Do it again. Now I had 7. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, man.
It's been great to have you here at the podcast.
Glad to be
You're
back.
a great person. I have to say that Darren is one of my mentors. I have learned so much from you. I admire you. I love you. I like you very much. You're a great person. And I'm very happy that you are here at my house for the podcast and for the dinner, the paella, and we're going to have so much fun watching Checo Perez winning the Japan's race tonight.
It'll be fun. But you also have a great attitude, always very open, and your family is wonderful. You have a great family. Your daughters are beautiful. Your wife is an amazing person. Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Guys, invest in PM2. Make the homework, do the research, get into the internet. I'm going to give you the link. Research some about Darren, read his book, and follow him you're not very fan of the social media, right?
Not really.
Not really, but well, go to his events. You're going to learn a lot.
I'll do more.
A lot.
I'll start to do more.
Okay, we're going to do something.
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much.
Well, pues, gracias chicos. Gracias por estar aquí en Vivir en Modo Fuego. Vive la vida en modo fuego. Todos los años, todos los meses, todas las semanas, todos los días, todas las horas, todos los minutos y cada uno de los segundos de tu vida, vívelos en modo fuego, porque es la única forma como un rebelde se puede dar el lujo de vivir. Porque una es la oportunidad que tienes de trascender en esta vida. Una es la oportunidad que tienes de aprovechar el regalo más valioso que te fue dado, tu vida. Por eso tienes que vivirla en modo fuego. Vive la vida en modo fuego a cada instante, mi querido rebelde. Gracias por dejarme ser parte de tu vida e intentar agregar un granito de arena para que tu vida sea más próspera y más feliz. Gracias por dejarme vivir mi propósito de vida a través de servirte. Te amo con todo mi corazón. Cuídate mucho. Nos vemos en el siguiente episodio de Vivir en modo fuego. Hasta la vista, baby. Adiós.